Welcome to Accountants Law Pod, where accounting professionals and law firms converge. Hosted by Linda Artisani, Sarah Prevost, and Stephen Libhart.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. Hope you're all doing well today. How are you guys today, Linda and Sarah?
Great.
Very well. Very well.
I got my second wind of energy after I got to class this morning for working out, and I'm like, do you know it's Monday? Monday should not be this hard.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but she's like, hee. The more you want wine and moan, the more it's going to be like that. I'm like, okay, never mind.
Whatever, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we probably should jump right in, and I feel like we should have like some spooky music and some clouds rolling around real slow on the screen, because today we're going to talk about demystifying accounting concepts for law firms. This is our Halloween episode in January.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Steve, we were on our way to the gym this morning. My husband and I, it was like a Halloween moon this morning.
Oh, was it?
That explains it.
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that.
It ties back.
Gosh. Yeah. Ties back. There you go. There's my Halloween moon.
There we go. So how do we demystify accounting for law firms? Boy, this is a good one. And, I'm teaching at our bar association tomorrow, and a lot of these things I'm talking about. So, because, attorneys quite often don't know what some of this verbiage is, and they're afraid to say so.
Yeah, because they don't want to look dumb. And, when they do ask a question, you can tell that they're kind of hesitant and they really want to know. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could start with just what's the difference between a trust account, an IOLTA, trust, IOLA. Let's give it lots of names and acronyms. And an operating or payroll or any of the other bank accounts. I mean, the IOLTA, I just recorded a video on this exact topic because I don't talk about IOLTA in the blogs. That's like the major topic. But if you think about it, they're separate accounts. They have separate purposes. The IOLTA account's holding money that doesn't belong to you until you've earned it. So I think that's the biggest catch. And there's a lot of rules governing it. And you have to look at your local jurisdiction for those rules, as well as your bar association, all these things that you want.
And where you practice if you have multi-state.
Yes. You have to have more than one bank account typically. Right. You can't just throw it all in one and call it a day. If you practice in Washington State and then you're in Oregon, you need to have separate bank accounts for that and separate offsetting accounts. So your liability account should be separated. That's going to save your derriere when you're trying to reconcile it, because now you're reconciling just this bank account and just this bank account. And it's going to make it easier to make sure you know that it's fine where the issues are if it doesn't balance.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And why do we have to reconcile it? And how, I was watching one of your recordings the other day, Linda, and you were talking about, if the bar says reconcile it every 3 months, do it every month. Don't just wait for 3 months.
Well, we've got bigger accounts and we soft reconcile. Like we just kind of go in and reconcile it along the way, because if it's big, it can be a big task, and it's easier to find things weekly on a smaller one than looking at like a big once a month or a quarter. I can't imagine doing quarterly. I mean, you have to be really small.
Yeah, you'd have to be. Well, and also some firms have like these flat rates or these reoccurring amounts. Mm-hmm. So you're charging these reoccurring amounts, but how do you know that everyone's aligning based on the payment processing, based on the, if you're asking for the same retainer amount, no problem. But we just have to make sure the 5 different people you asked from, 4 of them paid, 1 was not paid yet. Are we matched up correctly? And that those liabilities align. So,
well, and to your point, Linda, a minute ago, about knowing what the regulations are wherever you're practicing law in those different places. Some of them will have billing requirements. Like if you're flat feeing accounts and you're earning in different levels, when, different things are done, what you have to do to bill. And then when you take trust money and, all those sorts of things. And that can become very confusing for attorneys.
And the timing is important too, because you have to make sure that if you're billing and you're moving the funds, you don't want to be letting it on paper move the funds, but not physically move the funds.
Correct.
Which is something we see quite often. That's out of compliance when you do that.
That's coming funds.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times people don't look at it that way. They think, well, I'm not keeping them. I'm not doing anything wrong, but you are, because you're not recognizing the revenue if the money never physically moves over. And it's really hard on us to have all that hanging stuff when we're trying to keep your records clean and pristine,
Yeah.
And that can be construed as an accounting mistake right there. And, sometimes, especially with new attorneys, the class I'm teaching at our bar tomorrow is all new attorneys.
Yeah,
And,
that'll be fun.
it is. I've been doing it for about 16 years, but the word commingling always gets these looks in their eyes like, whoa, 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 what? Just really define that for me. And I try to dive deep into that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have also the opportunity to accidentally, somebody wants to pay you and they pay you in your operating account. And that was really intended for trust. How quickly are you handling it? Are you marking it correctly? I mean, it's not earned. So at that point, you really do. Some people try to say, well, I left it there and then I earned it like later that month in the billing cycle. Well, that's not the proper workflow. That doesn't work. And it's so fast for you to lose that money and get it commingled into your own stuff. So,
and some states require you to do that transaction like quick.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to just leave your stuff and say, I'll do that on the weekend. You actually have to book stuff in. If you look at some of the rules and regulations, they require you to get the data in.
Well,
absolutely.
We have that consulting one that happened the other way. I'll just put all my consulting money in trust. It's earned. Go put it back.
Exactly.
Well, they're afraid of the trust going
the other way.
So they're figuring, what do they call it? A cushion.
A cushion. That was the word.
Cushion. We hear the cushion word a lot. Like, oh, no. But that's because they don't have proper records. And usually the proper record keeping comes with hiring a professional to make sure we take care of it. We let you sleep at night because we're making sure everything gets booked in properly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and while you're on that subject, this is something to demystify. And you guys run into this all the time, and so do we. When is the appropriate time to bring a legal accounting professional in to your fold, if you will? I want to hear what you guys have as an answer.
Can I ask, when is it not?
Exactly. We're one of the first people that should be brought onto the team.
They're just like the newbies you're going to be teaching to tomorrow.
Correct.
Those people, I'm always amazed when someone comes to us and said, I am just starting my business. I haven't done anything. I've set up the bank account. I've got the FEIN, and I don't want to do any of this without your help. I'm always impressed with a client that does that because, I know I might be too small. I'm like, no, you might not be too small. We certainly can help you out and then help them set it up the right way because it's so easy to set it up the wrong way. And it's not what they do. That's not what they were schooled in. And to have somebody that knows how to hook it all up, it's not easy to map in Clio to QuickBooks or Clio to Xero. You got to know what to put, what accounts. And if you're not even that familiar with the chart of accounts, how are you going to know how to record it? And then if you don't record it properly, guess what? All the data is going in the wrong buckets, and you don't want that either.
So the question I have is, even if you were, like you took your accounting classes and so forth and you learned it, is that really what you're wanting to do when you open your law firm?
Exactly.
Is do that? Like, that's the biggest question I always have. It's like, no, you retained this high level degree for a reason, and you sought out for other reasons, and this is not where you should be spending your time. It's great for you to know. We always like to be super transparent as much as possible with, this is your business, this is how it runs, these are the figures. But life happens. Things happen. You get busy fast. You never know how fast you'll get.
Exactly.
How much business will come to you. So.
And if you get into that mindset of, I can handle the books, I'm going to be fine. I've seen it so many times where they get so granular on setting up the chart of accounts and setting it up incorrectly. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, where they'll have a line item for every single thing that happens and people's names and, all kinds of stuff on the chart of accounts. And, the poor tax preparer then has a mess to try to unravel, what is Susie Jones? What does that mean on this chart of accounts? And, it happens.
It's so true. Like Staples, the Office Max. I'm like, why?
Well, Steve,
I want to track them.
How many marketing accounts do you need?
How many sub-marketing accounts?
How many? We've seen
and
a lot.
Travel and entertainment.
But you can actually go in like that. The reason they think they need to do that is think they need to track like how many Google AdWords did they do? How many things did they do on Facebook?
That's a good point. Yeah.
You can put it into marketing and then sort by the vendor transactions to get that information. You don't want that all stated on your chart of accounts. That makes a lot of work. I mean, it makes for an ugly chart of accounts, just like you said, with people's names on it. I don't want to see anybody's name on the chart of accounts. Mm-hmm. I really don't. Maybe in the balance sheet with the partners, equity section, okay, but the rest of it,
Sure.
I don't need to see them on the profit and loss at all. There should be no names there. And we see that sometimes. It's like, just looks like somebody doesn't know what they're doing,
The
basically.
Well,
thing
and
that
it's
the thing I think it's crazy too is you're looking at the practice areas and revenue's revenue, and your practice management system is going to track those practice areas
yes,
if you're set up
yes.
correctly.
So you don't need it there on the
Why are
profit.
you being redundant with the redundant work? To your point, it's a lot of work. So, but not to take away from what you were just going to say, Steve. I just thought that that was an interesting thing. We always see that, and I'm like, okay, I get it. You have 4 or 5 different practice areas. Do you know how much time it takes for to like parse that out?
Absolutely. And I forgot what I was going to say, but that's okay. It'll come back.
Oh, shoot. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Well,
no. That's okay. But, just
Steve,
that
why don't you do the cash flow and the profit? Why don't you talk about that?
the profit as far as help me out here. Where you going?
I was just going to say with the profit and loss, and this is a question you're going to get probably in the next week or two.
Yep.
I've got this much money on my profit and loss. How come it's not in my bank account?
Yeah.
Where's my
Why
cash?
isn't it in my bank account? Because
Where's my cash?
some of it's on the balance sheet under your equity when you take a draw. Some of it's in your assets.
Well, I
that you
didn't take that
purchased.
much out, Steve. I didn't take that much out last year.
Well, let's go look at it.
Yep. And then all of a sudden it's like you get that deadpan of silence. Did you not take your boat out and pay for it out of company money? Oh yeah, I did that. And now did you buy this or did you buy that or did you have Netflix? You start adding that up. It adds up so fast. And then all of a sudden it's like,
the people that just go out to restaurants and take their families and everything and then put it in the firm as meals, it's like, ooh,
Yeah,
be
we see
careful.
that.
Yeah, a lot with attorneys.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and be aware of all the big changes that have happened for 2026 and
It's
the
changing.
changes that occurred for 2025 mid-year. I mean, it's a lot to jump through. It's a lot to keep your eye on the ball and practice law. And then remember what you have to work to for your financials, because your financials of your business affects your personal life, and the whole thing comes together. So do you want that whole weight in addition to running a firm and all of that? Those are the questions I think are the concepts of ideas of like what makes sense for you to spend your time. Is it good for you to bill the client, do the work, bill the client, collect the money, and book it on there in the books, and then all the other things?
And meanwhile, you're missing $200 or $300 an hour that you might start, or even more.
Right.
That you might charge your clients. I mean, you need to focus on what you're good at and let us do the back end work for you. And the two combined together will really make you profitable.
Anybody in the profession, any accounting professional that's in this, that practices this niche, will be able to support you really, really well. We saying the 3 of us as a reference, but just there are not very many, but there are a few of us out there that do this niche.
Yeah, we had quite a few of them in the law lab. And we all love it. It's so fun to watch if somebody brings it, like on the week we do Ask Us Anything. And we're sitting there and we're asking, the questions that come. And then a lot of them will go, this is why we like being in this group, because we get to figure things out, things that are real life things that kind of odd things that can come along the way. And with the collective mindset of the group. And the fun thing is to watch how everybody really figures things out. And how, because they are all doing the same kind of work as us, they're all facing the same problems. And I think that sometimes that having that ability to hire somebody at that level of the people that are in our group, it makes a big difference, because you don't have to spend time explaining what's an IOLTA, what is it for? I mean, these are the things you don't have to explain. What's a client fee or a client cost? Where does that go on the books? There's a lot of things that legal accounting has that's different than regular accounting. And it's the fact that you've got the knowledge base behind it. Yeah, we probably charge more than the regular bookkeeper, but we're going to give you better result.
Absolutely.
I had a California CPA once. It was a random conversation. I forget how we got connected. We didn't have a mutual client, and said, "Oh yeah. No, I work with attorneys," and started asking me questions. And I was like, I could clearly, very succinctly realize no, and no. Why the heck are you working with them? You're advising incorrectly on advanced client cost. You're advising incorrectly on the trust account. You're booking things in journal entry at the year end in the incorrect way. That's not how you handle trust funds with operating and as a business. It is not the same business. I'm sorry, friends. And there's so much compliance and needs that happen inside these firms. You can't just brush it under in a journal entry. Just doesn't
No,
work.
and that's something we see sometimes too. Well, a lot of times somebody will be like, my account isn't, I'm having trouble getting this trust account balance. And we just had this conversation not that long ago. And it goes back years, sometimes more than a decade. The problem started back when they first started. And then you have to go in and detangle that. And I think a lot of times when you start working with clients, they don't understand the brevity of the problem, because you have to really nail down where the issue is. And there's not a lot of people out there that know how to fix that properly, because if it's a closed period and a closed accounting period, how is that reflected? How is that corrected? Yeah. And a lot of times they don't really pay attention to it. And the answer from the attorney, which we've had this conversation, they'll say, well, I'll just open up a new bank account. And we're like, no, because we don't know what's in the old one, and you're going to move all the money over to the new one. That's the same problem. We have to move it over. And if we don't know where it goes, then we don't have a way to make sure it's correct. That's not the resolution to the problem. It's not going to fix the issue. I mean, that's not a way to fix it.
That's not, well, I guess, Steve, I could ask you, you move it to a new one. I guess, do you understand what's left in the old one as far as like what's uncleared?
Well, once you move it over and lock me out of the bank account, I can't go in and pull statements and do all kinds of detective work. No, please don't do that. And that's one of the toughest things to explain to an attorney that wants to do that, because and this is part of the demystifying. They just want it to go away, wave the wand and it's gone.
And in their mind, that fixes it.
Right. And I always use the comparison with them. When you bring on a new case into your law firm, you don't just wave the wand. You really have to dig and see what all the details are and do all the research and go out to LexisNexis or whatever and find the case studies on what you're doing for your client so that you know how to proceed. And that's the same thing we're doing with your trust account. Please don't open a new bank account and say, okay, I'm just moving the money and we're fixed.
And then how do we find out that the bank account is that you had a new one? Because all of a sudden there's a new one with a whole slew of transactions and the old one's broken. And you go, can you please reconnect it? And they go, oh, I closed that. I can't get that to reconnect. And then you're like, you did what?
And then it's a little bank out in the country somewhere that doesn't keep their records.
I'm cracking up because we're chatting and I'm looking out and I'm thinking about the squirreling method of all of these things. And there's a whole family of squirrels running up the street in front of me. But I'm like, that's
my
exactly
squirrel.
what happens.
I got my squirrel.
I know, right?
That's how it got me.
That's what's happening when you're doing that method and you're not being honest about it. Plus, it does put you into a compromised position of compliance too, because now that have you let people know that you've changed bank accounts? If you had uncleared items,
that's the other thing. We
have money in transit. Did you let the merchant account provider know? When did you move those funds? There's no shortcut, cookie cutter way to doing this. So being diligent about it. I also think that the thing that firm owners, when Linda and I've talked to them, it's like, what do you see? Well, they're looking at a P&L and they're looking at a balance sheet. Are you evaluating that trust account? Are you looking at that trust three-way? If you've been provided it, have you actually looked at it? Has it been brought to your attention, the things that you need to be handling? And I'm not saying it's a great time to point fingers. Somebody did this wrong, this wrong.
No, you don't want to do that. But you want to we have project lists. So we have a specific workflow with a project list, and it's got columns and drop downs. And if this means you need to move money from trust to operating or operating to trust, and then the notes why, and where it's off, trying to figir it out. And we've got the live flow forms. So
that it's good that we put those things out there, but we ask you to verify too.
Yes.
What if we said it correctly?
Right.
I mean, that's always, it's not an offense to us if we're being questioned to reevaluate. No. It makes more sense for us to go back and just double check. Did we see it the same way? Because, a lot of people, one person could pay for a family of people, depending on the type of law firm. One, business could pay for a lot of people's businesses as far as like individual needs at a legal status level. So it's hard to know where is the documentation. And I think that's number one thing too, is getting documentation in the right place. And looking, I really feel like where it is part of the accounting process is looking at the practice management process and owning that correctly, and then helping get the accounting process in line. It's a domino effect.
You know, you're correct. I've seen firms where they let their billing system, their billing software just go crazy and never reconcile anything. And then they'll bring us in and we try to tie things back. And they're like, oh, well, we never close out those old accounts. And, we're never going to collect those balances. I ran into a huge one like that once. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to start from the beginning. We have to start from the beginning and do this all over and clean this up. And it was quite a project.
And the rules do.
I'm sorry, Linda. I was thinking, like, don't you find this funny about the interest rates, charging the interest charges?
Oh my God.
I'm so not down with that.
Fine, you want to do it, but let's. It just lingers and lingers. It's a volume effect, right? So,
well, to our attorney friends out there, we're not here to pick on you on this next comment I'm going to make, but I've been working with attorneys for 25 years now or whatever. And I have seen this trend in all of those years that they get so tied up in credit card fees and bank fees and chasing $5 here and $10 there, as opposed to paying attention to $1,000 over here. It's just crazy how they get hung up on those fees. And legal clients are not accustomed to paying credit card fees. They feel like they're being nickeled and dimed. And, there's this feeling out there, for lack of better words, that attorneys, I'm going to go get an attorney and, oh my gosh, he's going to charge me all this money and blah, blah, blah. And then me as the attorney says, well, by the way, Sarah, you have to pay a credit card fee on top of it. So it's going to be another $45. Oh my gosh, you just blew several $1,000s right there.
The only time I feel comfortable enough for that, if I'm willing to pay with the municipality, paying like my property taxes, I got to pay a fee. If I want to do a credit card, and that's the only way I can do it. I usually go to the opposite. I pay it ahead and get the discount. But that's the only place I ever feel like anybody else tries to push that fee on me, I do feel insulted. And I think that with attorneys, they already have a bad rap for these long line item invoices and stuff. If you want to keep a good rapport with your clients, which is helping you build your base. Because if you ask most attorneys, where do you get your clients? Referral. I'm referral based. Great. You think that doesn't leave a bad taste in their mouth that they're being nickel and dimed? And every time you talk on the phone, it's, $350, $450 an hour. And you don't feel like the work. And staying in contact with the client is a big deal that an attorney can do. Just communicating. Because you take this big upfront retainer and then you don't hear from them. And then the biggest complaint from the client is, I don't know anything that's going on. And then the next thing you know, it's the end of the case and you have to cough up more money or they're not going to finish the job for you. It's like, wait a minute, I don't even know what you've done. And I get this bill,
It's an emotional thing. Yes, working with an attorney for the clients quite often is an emotional thing. Yes. And when there's these surprises that are tossed in or the radio silence that you're talking about, both of those can create more angst for the client. Mm-hmm. And I'm just not down with charging credit card fees in a law firm.
Isn't it Clio's, their annual report? That was one of the things that people complained about was the fact that they're non-responsive at all. And somebody said, I think at ClioCon, somebody said, attorneys, you want to be better than all the other ones and you want to get all these great leads? Answer your phone. Answer the phone. People want you to answer the phone. Have a system that they can reach you and contact you. And I thought to myself, wow, that's as simple as it gets, right?
As simple as it
Old school. But it's so funny that something so easy is
I guess
unreachable.
Going back to what you both were saying, because I feel like all three of us are in the same bucket. We always often hear, well, I'm going to switch to this merchant provider because I can have the client pay for the fees. Okay, where's the value as far as like, if you're offering, to your point, Steve, sometimes it's an emotional thing. Other times, okay, the attorney is making a payment plan for you so that you can make it affordable, right? The package is X.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, that's fine. Then I understand the need to want to say, hey, for that convenience, I'm going to ask that you pay that credit card fee. That's understandable. But on these bigger ticket ones, I get it. But if you think about it, you're a lawyer yourself. How do you want to pay for all the other services? You want your points. It goes both ways. I feel like we're in an interesting conundrum here where we're saying, hey, wake up and look at it.
Well, do you guys remember, did you work at the period of time when they weren't allowed to take credit card payments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was a big deal when that came along.
Yeah.
And it changed a lot. I mean, cash flow.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Mr. Attorney, your cash flow the door just opened up, and now you want to charge them a fee for that.
Yeah. Which is in that same report that Linda brought up, the legal trends report. It talks about the convenience of paying. And so it's interesting. Now, mind you, I get it. It's very frustrating right now because fees are ridiculous. It feels like every time you turn around, you're paying a little extra for here and a little extra for there. So I understand. But I agree. There's some kind of balancing act to this whole thing. And if we were to have a conversation with people like us and say, hey, look, let's see what it looks like. You know, if you want to do the test model and you want to test it out, let's see how quickly you're collecting. Where's your cash flow now?
I like that.
You know, if that's what you want to try. Or what's your turnover rate? Like, are your clients staying with you? Is the referral bucket still happening? Sure. I mean, if you're at the top of your game, you're going to have a lot of referrals for.
Well, and you guys know that I'm an Airstreamer. I run around in my Airstream.
Yeah.
I'm the treasurer. I'm the treasurer of our Airstream club. And now that's a nonprofit. That's a whole different scenario. We do pass the credit card fees on because we're a nonprofit. We don't make any profit. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But for these high tech, like to your point a while ago, Linda, when I go into a restaurant and I see that they're going to charge me the credit card fee, it's very offensive.
Yeah, it is.
It's off-putting.
Yeah.
And when you start to look at, when you go out to a restaurant, there's a lot of things added onto that thing. I'm like, what are all these things, you know?
Try a hotel.
I know.
There's
right.
You have to like figure out like, what am I paying for exactly?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the actual price of the meal? And then, we're kind of cherry picking, but it's that same kind of concept. There's a lot of demystifying accounting concepts that we could probably cover as we go along throughout the year of 2026, and maybe we just highlight them as tips.
Yeah,
I like that idea because I have a whole list that we didn't even get to today. So,
well, I'm sure you do, Steve. You are. Good one, sir. I love it.
Steve loves his lists.
It's Mr. KPI here. So, but I hope everybody today. We hope you got a lot of information out of this, and obviously reach out to us. Tiara is going to share some information with you, and for those of you that Linda mentioned the Law Lab, if you're new to law firm accounting, don't let that intimidate you at all. What we talked about today, because when you come into the Law Lab, you are in a safe environment and you get to ask all kinds of questions to help you out. And I love it that you brought that up and how you described that, Linda. So thank you.
You cracked me up, Steve, because we started out with spooky. This is a scary episode.
No, now he's blurry.
Now you're safe because we did this.
Now you're safe.
You will forever be safe. Bing. There. Take it away, Tiara.
If you liked this episode as much as we did, don't forget to like, share, and leave a quick review. It's the easiest way to help other accountants and lawyers discover our little corner of the podcast world. And while you're at it, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you have a question or a topic you'd love us to cover, send us an email at info@accountantslawpod.com or send us a message through our website, accountantslawpod.com. Your idea might just be featured on a future episode. And if you want to go beyond listening, consider sponsoring an episode and connect with our community of accounting and legal professionals who love learning, laughing, and leveling up. And of course, don't forget to join the conversation inside the Accountants Law Lab Mastermind group at accountantslawlab.com, where collaboration meets inspiration every week.
You know what? I want to do a shameless plug before we sign off today.
Okay.
Because we talked, and thank you for bringing up Tiara about sponsoring. And folks, we're serious. Join us and sponsor our podcast because, this last week, Tiara put our statistics out to our group here. We just hit over 12,000 downloads. How great is that?
Cool. Yeah.
So, cool. If you want to sponsor, we have a pretty good sized audience out there downloading our podcasts.
It's a very niche audience. So if that's what you do, it's a great place.
Absolutely.
So, well, thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
We'll see you later.